Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, and you know what? In a few days, guess what's coming out? Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming out. Who else is excited? I'm pretty excited for it personally. And with that, you know what? I thought of a topic, and I've wanted to cover a commentary over this for a while. I'm one of those people, I have a lot of commentary ideas, and then a lot of them I just don't go through with because then they get clouded by other ideas that I have. But video game violence. What is to blame? What is up with all of this? Well, there's quite a lot I can talk about when it comes to this. Whose fault is it? First off, it isn't the developer's fault. I'll put it like that, okay? Developers, people like that, publishers, they are trying to appeal to a market, okay? Because let's just be honest, you know, the last game I bought was Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix, which is awesome. I'm an adult. I will still play that, but you know, not everyone wants to play Kingdom Hearts. There's people that are gonna, you know, want to kill things. They want a military shooter, something like that. They want to steal cars virtually, anything like that. So that's why you have that. That's going to be appealing to people. Those more violent games are going to be appealing to people. That's why they're made, obviously, because it's such a big market. They make a lot of money. No secret on that. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the most expensive game ever made, and they have already made their money back and more on pre-orders alone. The game's not even out yet, and technically they're in the clear. They're good to go, which is awesome. But it is not the developer's fault. So who could it be? Could it be the kid's fault? I don't know. Honestly, what I think of is this. When a kid gets a hold of a video game, in case you all don't know, I kind of formed this opinion a few years ago. I worked at a video game store, local mom and pop shop, for 2.5 years. And I have to say, most of the time, it is the parents or the guardian's fault. Here's one example to really back why I think of this, okay? Working behind the register, you see a lot of stuff. I remember there was this one guy, this kid who came in. He was like maybe 8, 9 years old. He was looking at computer games. This guy was kind of annoying, but he kept asking me these questions, and he sees Gears of War. He's like, oh, I really want this game. Can you tell me about it? So I was telling him about it. His eyes were lighting up. Then I remember his dad came in, and his dad had Gears of War and Halo 2 in his hands. Both these are M-rated games. And he was just like, hey, have you played these? And I said, yes. He's like, okay, well, which one's better? And I was like, honestly, I think Gears of War is better than Halo 2. Like, at least if you're going to be doing, you know, campaign or whatever, if you're doing multiplayer or something, I don't know, it might be more suited for you. Just with the things that he was telling me, like his play style and such. Then he was like, okay, well, for my kid here, what would you recommend? Would you recommend Gears of War? I was like, honestly, I don't recommend Gears of War for him because it's a really violent game. Definitely a very gritty game, lots of foul language and all that. Don't recommend it. He took my consideration seriously, and then this kid was begging his dad, and he was pleading, and he was crying, and he was freaking out. After about a minute of this, the dad was like, well, you know what, we'll just go ahead and get Gears of War. So I told him why I don't think it's appropriate for his son, and he got it anyways. You see, there are parents like that when their kids want something, they're just going to get it for them. And then if their kids, you know, start getting violent on a game or they act on something or they have all these violent games, you know, who's going to be to blame? Who's the one that gave you the money to get those games? And even sometimes, you know, you might have those instances where, I don't know, for example, this kid has an M-rated game, the other kid can't be playing them, so he goes over to one kid's house, starts playing them there. You know, that might be the fault of the guardians. Actually, whenever people would go over to other people's houses, I knew of several times, you know, they would check with the other parents and be like, hey, is it okay if your kid plays these games or watches these movies or something? A lot of it is really dependent on parenting. The problem is, with all these violent games coming out, whenever there's a bout of violence, whenever something goes wrong, seems like video games are to blame. So, let me get this straight. Just because somebody has a hobby, they do something bad, whatever it is, we're going to blame video games, right? We're not going to blame a TV show. We're not going to blame, you know, a movie. We're not going to blame music. In fact, we really have to blame something, don't we? Isn't that it, right? Because we're not going to admit that it's anyone's fault. We want to admit that it's a company's fault. We want to project our anger, our frustration, our blame onto someone. Just some type of implicit thing. Be all like, oh, well, you know what? This kid shot another kid. That's obviously Rockstar's fault. Let's see. This kid ended up killing another kid by cutting up his body. That's obvious. Oh, let's see. Wait, we have Dexter on the PVR. Oh, that's why. That explains it all. No, that's not it at all. And the reason being is that sometimes, I don't know, I feel like several people have said this, and when people said this, I thought they were crazy. But now, the more I see things like this, the more I think it should be plausible. But maybe to watch these violent movies or TV shows or to play violent games, you should get, I don't know, like take some type of psychological test or something before doing that. Like, people should be required to do it. Now, will this ever happen? I really doubt it. But the problem is, the reason why I say that is just due to the fact that you should really know what is right from wrong. People should have a basic set of morals. I mean, obviously, it is not right to go into a parking lot and break into someone's car and steal stuff. It's not right to get a gun and start shooting people. I think this should be obvious. But you have people that say, oh, this 12-year-old played Grand Theft Auto and then killed their grandfather or something like that. Well, what happened? Was it your fault that you had the gun out? No, it obviously wasn't. It was the video game, right? Because the disc can magically kill someone. Because the game told you to do that. No, it's not that. And in instances like that, again, it's the Guardian's fault or the fault of the environment that the person is in. But again, you know, I'll use myself as an example here. I started gaming when I was like 9 years old or so, something like that. And honestly, I delved into, you know, violent games that I really shouldn't have been playing that weren't recommended for my age. I was playing Grand Theft Auto. That's what actually made me start gaming. I was playing Grand Theft Auto. I was playing Halo. And yes, definitely my parents' fault that I played them. But the reason why my parents let me play those games is because my mom had told me several times. She said, you know what? I am letting you play this game because I know if you don't play it under my watch, you're going to go over to a friend's house and play it. You're going to find some way to play it. So I'd rather you play it in my house. If you have any questions about anything, if there's any content that you have questions about, you can ask me. You can get it explained to you instead of, you know, improperly learning something. But also, I feel like you have a proper differentiation of fiction and non-fiction. Like, if you play Resident Evil and you kill zombies in there, you're not going to go out into the middle of the neighborhood and start, you know, shooting zombies or something like that, or thinking people are zombies and start shooting them. And I mean, that's true. I haven't killed anyone. I haven't stolen a car. I haven't done anything like that. So, you know, I think I'm pretty okay. And honestly, playing some of these more darker, grittier, violent games as a kid, I feel like kind of enhances the experience more. Yes, these games are designed, you know, most of the time they are recommended for people ages 17 and up. But one example here, Silent Hill, one of my all-time favorite games. I will say that having that nostalgia factor, and especially since I played it at such a young age and it was a lot scarier then, has really still made the series more enjoyable now. And I am still scared to this day if I play it. A few weeks ago, I had a friend come over, and she was interested in Silent Hill, so we were playing through the version on the Wii, which is Shattered Memories, and I will still get, like, she thought it was funny, and I admitted it, but I will still be afraid of games like that. Or like Resident Evil, like I'll be playing it and I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. I don't want to go behind this corner because I know it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna go behind it anyway. But I'll still have, you know, a deep-rooted sense of fear playing those games. But I really enjoy it. I do. I mean, one, because I know that's not going to be happening because that's fictional, and two, because it brings a little bit of a nostalgia factor, and the fear makes it a bit more fun and gives it a true survival horror experience. But aside from that, you know, games like, let's say, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, you know, even the game up here, Saints Row 4. They're rated M for a reason, but they're still fun. They're good stress relievers, things like that. And then another thing that games get knocked for, not really necessarily violence, but how people act. Like, you know, you always have the, I'm just going to say it, I don't even have to elaborate on it, but the stereotypical 12-year-old on Call of Duty. People automatically imagine that. You know, I don't even have to elaborate on here. Now, here's the thing, you know, I don't really attack people like that. But I don't really, you know, I feel kind of bad for them now almost. If there is a song and it explicitly tells you to go out and kill someone, you should be the judge of that. you should look at yourself and be like, you know, I probably shouldn't be doing that. That is probably a pretty bad idea to mess around with. Because if you think that's right, then there's something up with that. Something up with your psyche. That's all I can say. That's why, you know, many people have said, they said, maybe to play these violent games, to do things like that, you should really get a check, like a psychological check. Now, of course, that would be lovely, but it will piss off a lot of people, and it will be, you know, extra money wasted, and then, you know, probably not going to go through. Ever. But, again, as I'm saying, at the end of the day, a person should know right from wrong. Even if it is a kid playing a violent video game, a kid should know to not go out and steal a car. A kid should know to not go out and kill a person. To me, these seem like basic things. To me, these seem like common sense goal. But, you know, common sense is not all that common. That is driven, you know, on various different aspects of experience, your environment, what's been reflected upon you, things like that. It's kind of sad, but that's just how it is sometimes. Anyway, September 17th, whether we like it or not, I really do like it, but Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming out. It'll be pretty fantastic, honestly. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you for watching, everyone.